People who have just come in today, this is the plan here today, and let me talk about it. So this is the plan, right? Clear canvas. Okay. And today's demo is going to be probably my most toughest demo, and you will understand why it is tough, right? So remember, we did Docker in the previous class. I would like to know here how many people have done Docker here. How many people have sat? How many people have not sat for the Docker training? Let me see that. How many people have not sat for the Docker training? I want to see here. If you have never sat for Docker training, just say no. Only one no. No. So many no's. Why? Like 3 no's. Only 3 no's. Okay, I can see only 1, 2, 2, 3. Okay, 4. But you can see we have a lot of people out there. So guys, I'll just try to brush up on Docker, but we'll see. So today my plan is that I want to go and do Docker, and then I want to go and integrate it with Kubernetes, and all this I want to do using Azure, the UX, that is Azure Kubernetes, thing, right? So very quickly, for people who have just come today, what is it? What is Docker? Docker is nothing but it is a container. You can go and you can create a container. Please see the previous videos, but today just for you guys, I'll just give a brief here. You have, let's say, your operating system out here. Inside this operating system, let us say you want to go and launch an inventory application. You want to go and launch an accounting application into their own workspace. So what do? You normally go and you create different VMs out here like this. And the VMs really become heavy, right? So, so this is your host machine. And then the VMs, again, create a duplicate copy. So you have Windows out here, again a VM of Windows. You have Linux out here, again a VM of Linux. So it really actually squeezes your machine resources, right? So that's where Docker comes into picture, container comes into picture. In container, what you do is, so this is your host machine. Let us say this is a Windows-based machine out here. I can go and I can create a container by either using Docker, or either I can use anything else, right? So I can use Docker, I can create a container. In this container, only the necessary OS libraries will be loaded, and then your application can run here. For example, let us say if you're running .NET Core, then you will go and you will load .NET Core inside this SQL, right? And only the necessary OS, means it will not put MS Office, it will not put desktop, it will not put lot of things. Only the what you call the basic layer which can make the OS live is what is put out here, right? So that's what the container is. And the good part is, in the Windows container, you can have a Linux container. So must be you can have one more container which can have Java applications running in it, right? So nowadays, people are going more for container-based kind of approach, right? Now, so this is done by Docker. This going and creating the instances are done by using Docker, right? So Docker is a software. If you go and see the software, you will find the image of a container out there, and of a ship like this, so if you see that Docker thing, you will find that there is a ship like this, and so these Dockers are self-containers. If you look at the logo, right? Now what happens is, so this is that is the thing is Docker, right? Now Kubernetes, I think I took in the first class. Let me very quickly now think about it. You have a lot of machines and you start creating lot of Docker out here. Let's say you are dealing with 70-80 applications. Then now you need a management layer on the top of it. You need a management layer on the top of it which says that, okay, go ahead, create an instance of this, update this. Now go ahead, create this, go ahead and delete this, shift this whole thing to here. So this is the management layer, as someone says, orchestration. Taking all those Dockers and orchestrating them, right? So that is what is Kubernetes, right? And when you say that you want to, Kubernetes is again from a different set of people, different set of organization. And okay, my voice is not audible. Support, can you please chat and ensure if my voice is audible? If it is audible, can you please reply to Amit also? Can you just be proactive and just reply to Amit? Hey sir, she is audible, let me know, right? Okay. Because that message comes in, I need to pay attention if I'm not audible. Yeah. But especially for support, you need to really be proactive out there. So, okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So support, if you see someone is not audible, Don't see just the message. You have to reply him saying that you are not audible, send him a private message, right? Because it just makes me uncomfortable that somebody cannot hear me. Okay, I'm so sorry, guys. So orchestration, that's what he does, orchestration, right? That's what is this thing here called as Kubernetes, what it does, right? And all this today, I'm going to go and show it by using Azure. So on Azure, they have a thing called as AX, which is nothing but the Azure Kubernetes services, which gives you everything integrated. You don't have to really go and do a lot of things, right? Okay, so what we will do is step one. Let us go now step by step. Okay, step one, we will create a Docker image. Let me give you a roadmap of what I'm going to do in the coming 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So first thing, I will go and I will create a Docker image. A Docker image, probably this runs .NET Core application, right? So I will create a Docker image. Remember, image is different and a running instance is different. So first I will create a Docker image. This image, I will publish it into something called as the Azure registry, Azure Container Registry. What is the Azure Container Registry? The Azure Container Registry is all about different containers. So you can go and you can create a container registry. You can either use Docker Hub. That is something, if you want to use free something, there is something called as Docker Hub, which you can use, right? Or if you're an Azure guy, then you can use the Azure registry. So you can go and say that, okay, here is an image which is of MVC core application, which is loaded, right? And then what I will do is I will go and use Azure Kubernetes. Somewhere here, I will create this Azure Kubernetes. He will take this image and he will load it into this Kubernetes out here and create a node and a pod, right? So this is going to be a very big demo. So first is I will create a Docker image, run it, see my MVC core application is running. That image, I will publish it to Azure Container Registry. And from there, the Azure Kubernetes, I will see that I will get this image and load it into that pod or node, right? Because when remember in Kubernetes, we talk about the pods and the nodes and so on, right? So this is what the goal is, right? Okay. I'm going to go and clear all this. So let us get started. So step one, you can see here, I have put down all the steps. Create a VM Docker and load MVC core application inside it. Okay, right? So what I've done is I'm all ready out here. So this is my Docker machine. Let me connect to it. You can see I've created all the machines on Azure so that I don't have problems. So I'm going to go and connect to this Docker machine, which is having that Docker file which is running. So let me just show the Docker which is running, right? So let's go step by step. Remember, at this moment, I'm doing everything on Azure, but I'm using the virtual machine. So in case if you're offline also, if you have this virtual machine, you can do the same kind of demo. You don't have to worry, right? So here it is. You can see I've made everything ready for you guys. Everything is ready out here. I've done all the R&D. So, right. But let me show you what I have here. So over here, you can see I have created a .NET Core application. So here you can use MVC5 also if you want. So you can see over here in this .NET Core code, you can see that this solution file is out here. Remember? And remember this Docker file. This Docker file, people who are new to this class, this Docker file says to the Docker that it says to the Docker that from where you should get the SDK, what you should run, .NET Restore, what kind of runtime you need, and then he goes and he loads everything into that instance, right, into that image. So this Docker file tells exactly to Docker how the instance will be created. So I've loaded everything out here, right? And so let me go step one. I'm going to go out here to my command line CMD, and I'm going to go and first create a Docker image, right? So yeah, so people who have done Docker previously, how do I create an image of Docker? Remember guys, image and instance are different. Image is like a class. You can think about image is like a template, and instance is something which is live. So how do we create this Docker instance? Anyone? A Docker image? First thing, anyone here? People who have attended previous classes? Yes. To create an image, yes. Anyone on the chat? I also want to see that. Wow, like I really like it. I'm going to go and just copy this. I copied it from the chat. Thank you, Dheeraj. So there it is. I just copied it. I hope that this will work. So Docker build, that is good. Docker build -t, the name of the image, right? And remember, I also said, and first thing, let me go CD to that folder. I have to go to that folder because all my source code and my files are in this folder, right? So I'm going to go and copy this. Only one person answered it, huh? That's bad. Everybody's sitting in the class, I hope. So I'm going to go first over here. And over here, I'm going to go and create this image. But this time, I will not create the image just by the name. Let me make it more professional. I will also use something called as tag. So I will say a Docker build -t, right? And I will say, let's say this is MVC core image. Actually, I already have an image one, over here. So must be able to say MVC core image new, right? And after this, I will put a tag. What is this tag? This tag says, like, this is MVC core image you have built version 1, version 2, or like new build, bug fixed, right? So this is just a tag which says that how many times that build has happened or so on, right? So I'll say this is version 1, right? So you can see now there is a tag out there. And image colon v1, right? And then remember this dot sign out here. This dot sign says that the Docker build, the Docker file is there in the current directory. You shouldn't be missing this, right? So I'm going to go and create an image out here. So you can see now it went ahead, it read the Docker file, it went ahead, it took that SDK. Remember, guys, I have already created one image out here, so that's why it was very fast, or else it won't be so much fast, right? And it created this image, MVC core image new, right? So if I go and say Docker image, I will see all the list of my images. Oh, Docker images, is it? I forgot the syntax, Docker images. So you can see here, MVC core new with version 1, and there is a unique ID given by the Docker, right? So this was the Docker, this one. And if I want to go and run this image, then what was the syntax? Remember, guys? Now I'll go to my notepad. So I'm not going to take more test of you guys. So here, we will say Docker run, right? The image name, right? And the instance name, right? So let me go and quickly test this. So I'm going to go here and say Docker run. And remember, the first port is the port of the host. So I'll say run it on the 81 port, but map it internally to the 80 port. People who are new to Docker, please see the previous class. Already have explained this. So today I will not be explaining it again. My instance. So I'll say that this name, I will give it as MVC core image new instance 1. So create an instance 1 from where? By using the template MVC core image new. That this is very important. One of the things that is somebody sent me a message on WhatsApp, after this class, saying that, sir, like, what is so great about creating an image instances like this? Why do we have to really go so complicated? So one is that, yes, you can do that so-called as parallel programming. Second is, for example, I'll tell you, in my case, I'm a lead architect for an hospital application. So we have an EMR application. I want that somebody should go online. I want my application to be so accessible that somebody can go online and say, hey, like, I want to go and create your instance of your application from the web UI, just make it live and then start using it. So that means now for that company, I have to create an instance. I have to, provision it. I have to do everything, right? Now think about doing all this, like creating that SQL server and everything and IIS application with, I don't know what kind of config files we have. It is so difficult. If we have something like this, we have an image, you want to use my application, create an instance and a running copy for him. Create an instance, running copy for him. So this is the new way of looking at SaaS, software as a service. If you see software as a service where people say, oh, here is an application, I just want to go online, buy it, start using it, it gets hosted, and I start using it. So definitely one of the things, which this container-based applications are also moving towards is that people can go and make their application very easily accessible to anyone, like how you add to a shopping basket or so on, right? So that's what the goal is finally. I just want to make sure that you are on the same page. So now here I'm going to go and create an instance. So look at this. I created this image out here, and now I can go and create instance 1, instance 2, instance 3, and make it accessible, right? So I'll go and run this. Unable to find. Oh, look at this. He says that I'm unable to find latest. Definitely, it is not latest. It is V1. So I have to say here colon V1. So there it is. You can see now my Docker application is running live on 81 port. So that means that if I now go to my 81 port, so you can see here I'm going now to my 81 port, I should see my MVC core application running. So you can see that that is my basic MVC core application running, right? So good. So we are done with the first step. We have created our VM, we have loaded the application, and we have the image. Now the next step is we need to go ahead and take this image, load this image into Azure registry. Azure registry, right? So as I've said, what is this Azure registry? So if you go here, you can see container registries. So I like Azure registries means container registries. So as I've said that this is nothing but where you would like to go and add a registry, and you would like to go and load your application or your image into this, and then from this, remember that okay, so here it is. Let me go back to my diagram. Oh, my diagram has gone off. So I did the first step. Step one, I created the image of my MVC core, right? And this the second. So this is the step one, which I've already done. The step two, now I'll take this image and I will load it into that Azure container registry. Now how do I do that? Now first thing, remember that at this moment I am on a virtual machine, and this Azure registry, when I will create into some other network. This will be a very separate unit. So in other words, if I go here and if I go and create an Azure registry like this, if I go and add a new registry, that means that this registry out here will be created on some different URL. Can you see this? azure.cr.io. In case you don't want to waste money on Azure registry, you can use Docker Hub. Docker Hub is a free one where people have loaded all their images, and you can go ahead and you can get things from there. But I'm preferring Azure registry for now. Why? Because of security. Because when you're using Azure, then everything comes into that Windows authentication, the cluster, things become very safe out here, right? So you can see already that also I have created a registry called as QP registry. I've already done that, guys. So if you want, I can just show you again. I'll just go and create one more registry here. So I will allocate this register to a group called as rest1, and let's say this is test1 or something, and then you will say, oh, you have to be unique, test QP, right? So over here this goes, and then I can just say create, and it creates a registry, right? So nothing big fancy out here. So I will not create this. So I'm saying that I've already created this QP register, and the name and the URL is qpregister.azure.cr.whatever. So I'm going to go and copy this so that whenever I do a publish, I will be publishing into this, right? So this is where I need to go and publish things, right? So now from that VM, from this VM, how do I go and publish out here? Because one is the security. There is a security problem, right? Because Azure will not allow anyone to come from a different machine and ping out here, right? So for that, what we need to do is we need to go and create a secured session by using the Azure PowerShell. So we have something called as the AZ commands. So for example, now think about it. You have something on Azure and you want to go and connect to him. So what Azure says, just create a secure session with me, put in the username and password, get connected, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go use the Azure session first thing, and I will create this secure channel. First, I will go and I will create a secure channel by using the Azure session. And second, then I will use, remember, the Kubernetes control to go and upload this image from here to here. So I will be using two command lines out here. One is the AZ, the Azure command line to make a secure tunnel. And second, I'll be using the Kubernetes exe to go ahead and do the publish, right? So let's go back here now. So from here, so you can see the next step. What I've done out here is I have in the downloads already I have copied that kubectl. Remember this actually controls the Kubernetes. In the first class I said, if you want to go and fire any kind of command line, then you're going to go and use this kubectl, right? So this kube control is exe is out here. So I'm going to go and just log in into that folder so that I can fire my commands. So I'll just go cd here, downloads, copy address as text, cd and control V. What is this? This PC and downloads, is that? Can't I go to the downloads? Can't I copy the path? Edit address. Where is the download? Downloads. What path is this? Oh, see user share. Okay. I don't know why I was not seeing that thing at the top. Control V. I'm here, right? So now I can go and I can fire my kube control commands from here. But before that, I need to go and make a secure connection to my Azure, right? Now for that, you can see I've downloaded the Azure CLI, already have installed it in my computer. It's already installed, right? So now I'm going to go and make a secure connection from here by using the AZ login. You can see all through the command prompt, AZ login. What this AZ login does is it says that, okay, like here is your account. So I have already put my username and password so that we can move faster. So I'll say, okay, here I'm going to go and connect. So you can see now you can close this window and you can see on the command prompt down below, it has now made a secure connection to Azure. So good. Now my command prompt is having a session with Azure. And from here now, I'm going to go and use that kube control exe and upload my image into the registry. That day, someone was asking me, sir, now, so you have published Minikube. So can you go and do this, right? So what I have to do in my Minikube, I have to use the kube control and do that, right? So I'm going to go now here and I'll go back to my, so I put down all the commands here so that I don't make any mistake. So I done a AZ login and then I will go and upload it. Okay. So to upload it, okay. So this is the AZ login I've done. Now also I need to go and say login into this AZ login. What it does is it just logs into Azure, but it does not log in into your what do you call your registry. It does not log in into SQL Server. The other things also you have to mention him. So I'll say, okay, like one is that you have logged in into Azure, but please again I want to go ahead and connect to my Azure registry because this command is more related to Azure registry, right? So I'm going to go and do a control V out here. All these commands are standard. They're available on the net. So log in into my registry. My registry name is, remember my registry name I had put here, QP register. I'm so sorry for the bad names, QP register, right? So I'm going to go here and say QP. Guys, I'll take all the questions at the last. So I have also logged into the individual service. Okay, oh, it's asking for password. Okay, so QP register. So okay, like you want to go and do something on the QP register, please put the username and password for the QP register. Now, what Azure has done is for every service also they have given kind of a security. So you can see here, I have something I have in this access keys. What I've done is I've given, in the access keys, I went ahead and I enabled an admin user. This is not enabled by default. And in this admin user, you can see that I have there is one user is created called as QP register. So I need to go and give all this, right? So I'm going to go back again over here, and over here, my username will be QP register. And what I will also do is this is the password. So I'm going to go and take this password out here, and I will paste it out here. So enter. Edit and paste. Remember, guys, this is all happening because Azure has solid security at the back end. Good. So I logged in into Azure by using AZ login. I have logged in into individual service ACR, which is nothing but your Azure registry. Now it is time to go ahead and to publish. We have a very, very secure tunnel now in between, and we can do the publish, right? Now to publish the image, you have to first go and tag that image. Means I know that already we have put a tag, right? So here it is, guys. I created this step 5, step 6. I have this kube control exe. Step 7, I've installed the Azure CLI. Step 8, I made a secured AZ login. Step 9, I made a AZ ACR login to the individual service, right? And now step 10, I'm going to go and use this Docker tag, and I'm going to go and say that. So I want to now go and publish on this qpregister.io. So let's say I want to go and publish this, my image, right? So I need to give here, so what is our image? Let us go back. Let's go back again to our command prompt. So let's say Docker images. Let's watch that. What our image was. So our image was MVC core with MVC core image new with v1 tag, right? So I'll go now here and say Docker tag. I want to go and load on this registry. On this registry, let us create MVC core image. I'll give the same name, image new with a v1 tag, right? And this URL, please tag with this the same thing, MVC core image new of v1, right? So you can see now from here, I'm trying to push the things out there. So, but first thing is I need to create this tag out here. So Docker MVC core image new v1, and I'm going to load it out here in this QP register. I'll say enter. So that's the tag. The second is I have to now say Docker push. I've now said Docker push step 11. Docker push. So and push this, whatever is the URL which I've just created. So Docker push this thing. And enter. There it is now. It's now going through the secured channel, and it has uploaded this image into that MVC core image new. So if I now go to my registry, if I now go to my registry out here, so container register, QP register, and if I now try to see QP register, so if I now try to go and see the repositories out here, so in the repositories, it will now show one of my old images, and you can see this is our new image. So the new image has now been loaded here. So we have done with step 2. So that means by using the kuber control.exe, I have loaded this into this image out here, right? Step 3, the main one. Now we have this Azure Kubernetes services. This guy will go and get this image and load it, that image into this Kubernetes orchestration network, right? So this Kubernetes, as I've said, that he will help us to handle this, all this Docker. So we have created I will show that how to create an Azure Kubernetes service. So in one of the nodes, he will take this image and publish it, right? So this is now the third step, what we want to do, right? So guys, any questions before I go ahead? Any questions here, at least for the first 2 steps? Can we publish via Visual Studio? Yes, you can publish via Visual Studio, but see, this is not a source code actually. So in Visual Studio also, you won't get such kind of elegancy. It is difficult. There are too many systems out here. We are talking about Azure Registry. We are talking about Docker, which is made by someone else. Kubernetes, which is made by someone else. So it's going to be, I think for 1 year, this is going to be tough, but I'm very sure everything is going to be very click as you go ahead. So after a year, I'm sure that all those Azure menus will be made. Do Azure has a Docker as a service without a VM? Yes, it has a Docker as a service without a VM. Very good question, actually. I can go ahead. I can go ahead and I can create a Docker service. But see, at the end of the day, Docker will need a machine, right? So he will make you feel that as if you are accessing a Docker. But when you see your bill, you will see the bill is almost like a virtual machine. So it does not make sense. But yes, you do have a Docker VM only, a Docker service only. I'll not say VM, right? Guys, any questions here on the first two part? I created the Docker instance image. I'm sorry. I ran it into this, I uploaded it into this thing. And now I'm going to do the second thing. In Azure Kubernetes, I will get that image and try to create an instance as a pod into Azure, this one, right? Any queries here? How app is placed into the VM. So that's what. So when this Azure Kubernetes, right? Remember guys, I think in the previous class also I said, this Kubernetes out here, what it does is it's an orchestration, right? So in Kubernetes, you have this Kubernetes manager, and inside this, what it does is it actually has a concept of a pod, right? So you have a pod here, and this pod can have container 1, container 2, right? So this is termed as a node. So it can have node 1. This is again node 2, right? And inside this, he can have container 1. This container 1 can have .NET Core. Container 2 can have something. But this whole thing is termed as a pod, kind of a logical unit, right? And again, you can have node 3. So now what will happen out here, it will take the image, it will fetch the image. Already Azure Kubernetes nodes have been created. So those nodes are there running. It will take that and it will say that, okay, you want to go and create an image out here, it will create it. I will show that. So we will see that how to do it. But the point is that this Azure services UX out here, when you go and you create an Azure Kubernetes services, look at this. So when I say I want to go and use Azure Kubernetes service, I'll say add. When you go and create it, you can see that he says the node size. Can you see everyone? Very important this is. It says that tell me the node size and then tell me what kind of machine you want to run for that node size. So over here, if I say 2 nodes or 3 nodes, he will already create that node and keep it for you, right? And then that Docker image will just go and run inside that node, right? So if you see out here very quickly, this, how do I close this? Sometimes sometimes this there it is gone. Developer should know how to create a user-friendly UI. So here you can see I will give a name here, Kubernetes or whatever it is, and then I will give the node size. So I can say change this size. So every node will be a 4 GB RAM machine or 3 whatever, 2 GB, 8 GB, and then how many nodes you want. At this moment I'm seeing 3 nodes, and then I will go and I will create this. Right now already I have created a Kubernetes service out here. So what I did is, so that we don't waste time, because if you go to create a Kubernetes service, you will see that it takes almost like 15 minutes. So I didn't want to waste time in this class. I've already created it, and this Kubernetes service node pool is I think 1 or 2. So I think I kept a 2 node count. You can see here it's a 2 node count, and I did a mistake. Let me tell you, I did a mistake, and that's why this will fail. I created a node of type Linux. Damn it, I shouldn't have done that. So when I started at 8:45, I was like doing things. Now my problem is, which I think I will get stuck, is this Docker image, which I have created, is created using the Windows Docker. This is where I'm going to have a problem, serious issue. You can see switch to Linux container. So that means that this now at this moment is running as a Windows Docker. So this image is created using the Windows Docker, and I have here a Linux node. So I find that this is incompatible. What I should be really doing is, must be, not now, but I would try this out. I think so that can be, I can switch to Linux container, do that whole publishing, but at this moment I don't want to go through that, right? So must be this can be the problem. I will probably have a problem, because now I just saw that. But the point is, I created a node pool out here and I said this is Linux, and here it is. Okay, let me make some more statements out here. Can we go and create a Kubernetes service with a Windows node on Azure or anywhere? Very difficult for now. So they are still working on it. I saw that they are coming out with a new build, wherein they are trying to support Windows, but at this moment by default the node is Linux, right? And why they are not supporting it, let me clarify that. Windows is a is a licensed software. So when you create such kind of nodes, right, the license also gets applied for that. So must be, those things are still not clarified, and Kubernetes is open source and Docker is open source. So they don't really support first Windows. They will first support what you call open source OS like Linux, but later on definitely Microsoft sees that it's a good opportunity and they try to help them out. But for now, if you see, when you go and create this Kubernetes services out here, and even if you try to do in your Windows machine also, creating a node of Windows becomes very difficult, right? So if you see here, when I add here, when I create this, it does not give me any chance anywhere. You can go to all of these things out here. It does not give me any chance to go and create a Windows node into Kubernetes, right? Problem, right? So that's, I think, means it's not about me that I don't want to create it, but it does not have that feature, right? What I can maximum do is that I can go and I can create a Docker in Linux, right? Which I have not done. So we'll see where it ends, right? And remember, guys, you can always watch for these icons out here in case you are getting confused for the first time. If you're coming to the Azure training, this flower sign is of a cluster, Kubernetes. This one here, cloud, it suggests that registry. This one here, small machine here, suggests that this is a VM, right? So all these icons also like makes a lot of sense out here. So QP register site. Okay, I'm here now. So so I need to go here and take that thing. So how do I now? So this Azure registry has our image loaded, and from this Azure Kubernetes, right, we need to go and get it, right? So again, from Azure Kubernetes, I'm going to go and use a command line. Right? Now Azure Kubernetes, as it is not really Windows, right? So it's going to be very difficult to log in into Azure Kubernetes from here. You don't see anywhere here connect or virtual machine, right? So what you can do is you can hit this small sign at the top called as Cloud Shell. What this Cloud Shell does is it will take the command and it will fire it to the cluster. Okay, again I'm repeating, at this moment I don't have access to the VMs of the of this Azure Kubernetes service, right? It does not give me any access where I can go and log in like this. You can see this one here. This one is where I created the Docker image, so I can log in into the machine. I can click on start and so on. But now this Kubernetes service is an isolated system. It is more of a platform as a service, or I'll say rather, I cannot really go and log in into that system, right? So that's why I can use this Cloud Shell out here. I'm going to go and click on Cloud Shell, and let me start firing commands over there. So you can see here, the Cloud Shell is getting connected to my Azure. Now remember that because I'm logged in into this browser out here, I don't have to do that AZ login and so on. So what he will do is he will automatically authenticate Azure for me. So you can see that he has automatically authenticated Azure for me, and I'm all set to go and do the things out here, right? Okay, so let's go back to our steps. So Azure login. This is Docker push is done. So step 11, I published it. The second step 11 only. Okay, step 12 now. Take the image from the registry and put it into Kubernetes. I can write this as UX steps. I will publish it later on. Take the image from the registry and deploy into Kubernetes. Okay, so if you want to now take the image from the registry and if you want to go and deploy it to over there, right, we need to write a YAML file. A YAML file. Yet another markup language. YAML. Where is my YAML file? So YAML file, right? A YAML, how many of you guys know this YAML language? It's damn simple. Okay, I can see some, yeah, so I can see out here some of these. Let me guys take these questions. I think very good questions out here. Most people use RM scripts instead of portal server. Absolutely, very good. Why not? So most of the people use the ARM scripts. So ARM scripts are just scripts. You just say run this, AZ this, and all, right? So yes, most of the people use an automated script. I agree. But the goal here is to show you the different steps in an isolated way so that you know those scripts, because just pasting those scripts and running them will not make any sense, right? So yes, people use the ARM scripts, which are ready-made, and they just go and change the server name, They change the Kubernetes name and it is done, right? But because today I'm teaching here, I would like to go and explain you step by step, as well as show you different ways of doing it, right? Can you automate and create an instance? Absolutely. That's what these ARM templates are for. ARM templates, PowerShell programming. You can put all these scripts somewhere into PowerShell and you can just run them one after another, or you can create the ARM templates, right? Okay, how do you went to this interface now? Which one? I'm sorry, Mani sir, I lost that. Which instance? I don't know. So you are seeing from the portal. From the portal, I have been going and searching things out here. I can go and I can say Kubernetes and I get it. I can say virtual machine and I get it. I'm just using the search, right? So that's how I go to any of the pages of my services. Okay. So just search and hit. Okay, so here it is. Okay, I'll take up other questions. Amit, I'll take this question later on. Let me continue. I wanted to answer that question, that why you are teaching so much, why you are making things complicated. Why don't you just use ARM? So yeah, that's like, definitely you will use ARM at the end of the day, but then you need to understand that how these things are all working, who is authenticating where, what kind of keys are getting exchanged, right? You should know how to, at least, like, you can copy paste from Stack Overflow, but you should know what to change in the code, right? So this will make sense. Okay, so PowerShell command, I've done that. Images. Now for this, YAML file. YAML, how do I explain you YAML? Okay, how many of you guys have done YAML here? YAML, yet another marker blank. At least a basic idea of YAML. There is nothing to learn in YAML as such. Huh? Okay, YAML. So guys, here it is. YAML. I have just gone online so that I can just show you that if I write something in YAML, how does it look in JSON, so you can understand it. So in YAML is another, like, yet another markup language. The name itself says that, and it's a very easy language in terms of when you look at JSON. Also, sometimes it can be complicated, but YAML is like, they have really made it easy. For example, if I want to say name is equal to Shiv, you can see here. Look at this. That's the JSON out here. Oh, don't they have something easy? Convert YAML to JSON, right? So that's a very bad site. Oh, can't I use something? Okay. Okay, I'll use this YAML converter. Okay. So just a minute. So here I can say name and I can say Shiv. YAML to JSON. If you see, that's very bad. That's not a good converter. This is a bad converter. So okay, let me go back here. So must be I can show it here. So in YAML, I wanted to show you by using the JSON way. So in YAML, what we say there is a key and there is a value. So like name is Shiv. If a YAML has a collection, then it will be like saying, okay, like address, right? And inside the address, I will say that this is an home address, and this is something like an office address. So that's how a collection will be, right? So you can see out here, there is a YAML file which I've created. In this YAML file, this is a very standard file of Kubernetes. So it's a very standard file of Kubernetes. It says that, okay, I will go and I will first use this apps v1. Very important this is, right? What is this apps v1? Remember I said that Kubernetes is an API at the end of the day. It is an API which sits on the top of all the virtual machines or the containers and gives you a nice management layer, right? So what is this Kubernetes? It's a very nice app at the top of it to manage your containers, right? And this has a lot of version, app v1, app v2, and just must be v1, and then it has app v1 beta also, I've seen nowadays, right? So this first one here says that which version of your app it is you are using. That's why I'm saying apps v1. Now remember that you have to ensure that whatever app version you are putting out there, your Kubernetes should support it, right? So what you can do is, if you want to know that what kind of app versions your Kubernetes is having, what you can do is you can go and you can fire this command. So let me see, I will give you one command out here. I forgot the command. The command was something like API, yeah, kube control API versions. very quickly. So I'll just go and say that, okay, can you tell me what are the API versions this Microsoft is supporting here. So you can see now here there is apps v1, apps v1 beta 1 is also supported, apps v1 beta 2 is also supported, right? So it's supporting a lot of those things, right? So this first one here says that which kind of version this Kubernetes has, and you're going to use it, right? Now, when you're actually deploying it, when you're actually deploying this image, right, there are two steps. One is there is something called as deployment, and then another one there is something called as service. So deployment means what? He will go and he will create an instance of Docker inside into one of the nodes. That is termed as deployment. Service means he will expose that into port 80 and make it live to everyone. So whenever you say Kubernetes your deployment, this YAML file goes through two things. One is it will say deploy it, and the other one it will say create a service, right? So both of the steps I'm doing over here now, right? So here I'm saying let's deployment, let's say that this is sample app 1 because I've already created one sample app. I want to create one replica. So he's saying that, so let's say that if this of this app, how many replicas you want to create? Because if one goes down, do you want to create another replica as a standby or not, right? So if you give here 2, he will create two instances of sample 1, right? So I'm going to say now, let's keep it 1 for now, but if you want, you can go and you can create multiple replicas if you wish, right? And of all of this, the most important one is this one. From where do you want to take that image, right? So remember, we had created this image out here. So I'm going to go and copy this. So this is the image which is into that registry, and I will copy this out here, right? Okay. And then yes, I want to expose this sample v1 on must be port 81, right? So you can see here I'm trying to host a sample app 1 by using this image, right? So this is my deployment.yml file, YAML file. So I'm going to go out here now. Now remember that we don't have any access to, this is a Linux machine and I really don't have access to this. So I'm going to go and upload the file from here. So I'll upload this YML file, upload this deploy.yml file. So you can see upload is done. And now I can take this YML file and I can run Kubernetes commands on this, right? So if I want to go now and create, run that Kubernetes thing, I have to say Kubernetes control exe, apply this deploy.yml file, right? So let me try to do this. So let me go out here and let me try to paste this out here. And let me now try, because the was it deploy.yml or YAML? You can see it is deploy.yml file. So this is not, actually it should be YAML, whatever name you give, but I've given YML for now. And let me try to run this. Let us see what happens. Oh, what's that? Deployment is not registered in apps v1. Why is that? Apps v1. That was apps v1 or that's very bad. Apps. Hang on, let me see. Yeah, that's there, deploy.yml. Okay, let me go and see that what kind of other versions it was supporting. API versions. So it was app v1 and apps v1. That's what it was. Let me try just v1. Let me try just v1. I don't know why it is. What it is saying is that I don't understand this tag deployment because this does not support it. That's really funny. Let me make it v1. Let me see. Upload. Right. So I just made that just as v1. I'm not sure why it's giving me that error. Let's see. Deployment. He does not understand this word deployment in the version v1. What else versions he has? Oh. apps v1 beta 1. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go and put here apps. Let me try this apps v1 beta 1. That's why will I try a beta version? I don't want to try that. I think this is good. That's bad. Also, there can be other problems also. Also, I think one of the issues can be also my security. Because now, okay, must be that I need to fix my security. Let me do that first. So guys, fixing the security, let's talk about this. My voice, I'm sorry. So let me see if that error is because of security. We have an Azure registry where we have the image. We have an Azure Kubernetes where we want to take this thing and run. But definitely, if you want to make a call like this, it's not going to happen. Again, you need to create a secure channel in between them, right? You again need to create a secure channel. So what I will do is, I will make this Azure registry as a part of the cluster of, because this Azure Kubernetes has a network cluster, right? I will try to attach this guy into this. So with that, both of them will come into a secured network and I can fire this Kubernetes commands, right? I feel that those errors, what I see out there, are because probably he does not understand how you can fire this, right? So for that, what we will do is, we will go and we will fire this command. You can see here, az, whatever is your cluster, attach that to that registry, right? So I'm going to go and take this one out here. Let me go to our steps, right? So I'm going to go and take this one and I'll copy it. Okay, go back, CLS. So my cluster name is QP cluster. So let me go and change this QP cluster. My Q of my keyboard. My resource name is res1. So res1. As someone said, why don't we just fire this? Yes, why not? We just fire this. And my my QP register. So my container registry is QP register, right? QP register. Good. Let's go and add that guy into this. Why the rest one is not found? QP. Oh, QP luster. Shit. Guys, there is no C out here. Effect of lockdown. Right. Okay, so now I think with this, this guy will get attached together and then must be I will fire. You can see now it is making a role propagation between both of the services. I did a mistake actually when I created the cluster, right? When I created the Kubernetes services, I should have created in the same network, but fine, I'm just doing it now, right? Once I do this, then I think I will go and I will try to fire that Kubernetes command. I think that's what the problem is. Must be I can also fire this, so that I am inside that. Okay, so until this fires, guys, any questions here? What I'm trying to do? Let me know any questions. Yeah, thank you, Murthy sir. That I was actually okay. Oh, yeah, here it is done. I thought that I should chat with you guys, but looks like this is done. Let's continue, guys. Let's continue with this demo. I will extend the class for 10-15 minutes more because I don't know. It's going to take some time. So let me try to take this class for some more time. So I've done a class. I have both of the AZ and the ACR. When I say AZ means ACR means my registry, and AKS means my Kubernetes. Now both are as a part of the same cluster. So now the security thing is fixed. Only thing what I need to do is I need to be in that context of my firing command. So I'll just say AZ get credential of my cluster name. So my cluster is QP luster. QP Luster. Rest 1. I just want to be into that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's in the same command. Okay. Now let me go and fire this guy. Deploy XML. Oops. Yeah, and let me fix that apps dot. I'll upload this one because I changed something, right? So I'm going to go and fix that apps dot thing out there. Let me try it now. If it does not work, guys, it's a process. Oh my god, what the hell is this? Kubeconfig. No, I shouldn't be using this kubeconfig. It's just apply -f. That kubeconfig is an old command, guys. I'm my mistake with my commands. Oh, it does apply. Guy, I'm so sorry. That kubeconfig is an old command. So when I was doing Kubernetes, old one. Okay, I'm getting some errors, which is very, very good. It says that. So this is okay. Sample app on deployment invalid. Values app sample app one selector does not match with the labels. Okay, this I can fix. So what it says is that somewhere I did not do sample app one to everyone, right? Fine. That selector. It says that wherever this sample app one is there, only load into that node. That's why this selector match labels are, right? Okay, I can see things are working. I'm so sorry, guys. But it is good, right? You can see the errors, the way the errors are in Azure. Okay, so I'm going to go and say again -f. Okay, so okay, there it is. You can see now he has done something. Let me run this again to show you clearly. It says that okay, sample app one is something is deployed, right? Okay, so now let's go and see what has he deployed any pods or not inside this, right? So Kubernetes, so kube control pods, get pods. Where is that command of getting the pods? Get all pods. Get pods. Too many commands out there. Where is it? Let me see if he has created the pod. If he has created the pods, must be that we can have a look. Yeah, so the top one, sample app, is my old one. So just forget that. Look at the sample app one. This is our one, which is there, right? And you can see that there is this error here saying image pullback off. That's an error out here, right? This image pullback off is saying that I cannot pull that image from that registry, right? And as I've said, like, as you know, that's one of the reasons it was, you know, that when I went ahead and I Googled this. So if you go and Google this status out here, it says that your Docker images are out of sync. You know, that's what my mistake was. So one is that the image was right. So you can see Docker tag and all that was right. This was all also right. You know, that I don't think this was a problem. But one of the things, you know, which really kicked me later on was that everything is yeah, Linux. Let me use that Linux container. Oh, I have also pasted that. So this was my mistake. And you know what? You know, I came to know about this mistake at the last time. So here it is. This is good. I was trying to use the Windows Docker image, and I think this one is the latest one. This is an error, which is the latest one, 2018. Until 2019 also they don't have an image. So I was trying to use the Windows container image into the Azure, and Azure only supports, means the Kubernetes in Azure only support Linux container image. So what he did is he went ahead, and which I will not do now. He went ahead, he configured the Docker to use Linux. Means he went ahead here and he configured the Docker to use Linux like this. Switch to Linux. He created an image. He pushed the image to the Azure registry and then exposed it, right? And then it was working. So guys, that one was my mistake, that in the Docker image I created Windows and I was already inside the class. and that's what the issue is over there, right? So what I will do is I will fix this. We'll not try to stress this more, but I hope that at least you have understood what the error is. So over here in the last step, what I need to do is very quickly. I know that I was not able to run this demo, but it was almost there and almost not there. So after this cube control, when everything is working out here, I can then go and browse to my local host 81 port. I think I posted on 81 port, right? And the service is also there, right? So everything is out here. So guys, this last step is now not working because my Docker is in Windows and I'm trying to host on Linux and there is a crash, right? So this one I will fix. I will upload it after this class. Right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and change that to Linux, and I will upload an updated video after this training so that you can watch this whole training, and there will be an updated video which you can have a look and you can see that how that Linux Docker also works with Kubernetes, right? So guys, any questions out here? Any queries? Let me now try to get into questions. I'm sorry, guys. It just went off from my head that we don't have a Linux Windows container into Kubernetes online. It just went off from my head. Okay, let's take each one of them. Each questions I'll take. Guys, please ask me questions now. Okay, this one. Can we say pod plays a similar role like as application domain in .NET framework? Yes, you can see like so application domain means what in .NET? What we say is nothing but it is a kind of isolated memory wherein things run, right? So here it is isolated, but see, virtual machine is also isolated, right? So here you can, I will say that, well, can we say pods, or you can say a group of app domains? Must be, I'm correcting that. A group of app domains. That's what it is, right? So remember, pod is a logical grouping of Docker containers. Logical grouping of Docker containers, please note. So group of app domains. Yes, Nitin sir, you said it so right. Oh, in the document, yes, I will do that. Screen freezed. We use IaaS for deploying web apps. Okay, let me take this question. You can ask me the newest question, guys. Even like you can think about that. My experience with Docker and Kubernetes is also very limited. It is, I still feel when I do all this thing, I still feel like it still has a long way to go, right? So please ask me the most stupid question you can, right? And must be if I can answer it. We use IaaS for deploying web apps. IaaS is robust, has multiple. How all these features are supported in containers of web app, that is IaaS is not required. So yes, so in these containers, when you create a Windows container, you can deploy IaaS also. You will have to deploy IaaS. If you're doing MVC5, you will have to deploy SQL Server. So that Windows container or the Linux container, whatever it is, right? It will work as a normal OS. It will work as a normal OS, but it's a lightweight OS. It does not have the toolbar. It does not have the desktop. It has removed everything which is fancy and just made the necessary bin libraries or the bins, so that you can create a lightweight container. So it has everything. So yes, the same IaaS, whatever you say, IaaS 9, 10, whatever you have, the same IaaS will get installed in that. Only, and how does that installation happen? That installation happens because of our config file. Remember, we had this Docker file. The Docker file has from SQL Server, from ASP.NET 3.5. So you have to just give those things into that. In Linux, yes, you can't. That's what my problem is, Money. In Linux Docker, we can't. In the Linux node of Kubernetes, let me make it. In Linux node of Kubernetes, we cannot load the Docker image, not .NET, the Docker image of Windows. That's where I got stuck today. Scaling in, yes, so scaling, okay, here it is. Scaling in, okay, let me show you. Scaling in UX, what is it? Okay, let me see that menu. I know that there is a scaling menu. So this is Kubernetes. So let me go and close this thing. So yes, we have a scale here, and we have an upgrade also. You can see there is an upgrade also, and there is a scale here. So when you say scaling, that means that you can have multiple nodes. When you say upgrade, it means that you upgrade to the new Kubernetes version. So there's new Kubernetes version. So if you're asking what is the difference between scale, the scale is for the hardware, how much nodes you want. So now if I want to go and update this, I have to first go and stop this cluster and then update it, or else I won't be able to upgrade it. So that is for, you want to add more node. Okay, guys, so I think I know that today's demo was a fail, but I'm sure that you must have got an idea that at least how things look like, right? So all these steps, I will post it, and let me do that. Let me remove that thing that was really sick. Yeah, this one, -F. Let me do that right now. So I'm going to go and paste this whole code into. Do we need to learn PowerShell for Azure? No, you don't have to be so hard and fast. It's okay. I think you need to learn more ARM. I would suggest don't try to learn ARM and PowerShell. Just do the basics and get started with Azure more. Okay, here it is. It's very difficult to learn all Azure. Everything of Azure, it is very difficult to learn. Everybody will have a perspective. For example, let us say that you are a .NET developer, you will just use a web app. If you are a CI/CD person, then you will use the DevOps, you will use this, you will use Docker, right? If you are an infrastructure guy, then you will more of like you will do networking. So I think everybody has a perspective out there. So I don't know, like nowadays I've seen a fad saying that I want to do all Azure. It's not possible. It's like a big shopping cart out there. There are so many services, right? So I would say that pick your services which you want to know as a developer round about you, and only focus on those services. Even if you have just an idea, okay, Azure Kubernetes does this, Docker is this, then the what do you call, the blobs does this. So at least what is this, at least if you know that much, I think it is more than enough to get started, right? So I would suggest that fully Azure to do and take a full training. I don't believe in that, but I know that companies ask all those things. So as a developer, I think what I will learn in Azure is the following. I will learn about the Azure, how do you say, storages. I will learn about definitely Azure hosting, web apps, your the services of Azure. So not all of the services, but specifically, how do you say, serverless? Yeah, serverless. If I want to host an API or a command, right, and so on. So I will do things which are around Azure, so that as a programmer I know the features of Azure. And yes, must be nowadays people are asking for the CI/CD. So if you want to go and do the DevOps and hosting and so on. Okay. So thank you very much, guys. Thanks a lot. So anything like Cosmos DB, yes, we can. We have already done a lot of Cosmos DB previously also, Amit. Service bus we can do. So guys, send your whatever you want, to questpond@questpond.com. What we can do is we can do focus trainings. So one is we have this Kickstart training, like people who are new to Azure. For them, it's a different training. But then people who have done Azure, they would like to say that, okay, show us DevOps. Show us only this much, right? Show us only Kubernetes. So then we can have focus trainings only on those. So thank you, everyone. Thank